Welcome, James, Greg, and Pete. And our show is now called Carded Off, official announcement. So this is Carded Off with James, Greg, and Pete. And we are talking some football. And wow, what a weekend this was. I'm here in Kansas City where the Chiefs had a victory, but a more impressive victory to get into the playoffs, the Las Vegas Raiders. Wow, Pete, you just talk.
They came ready to play. Even though towards the end they let San Diego get back into the game. The Chargers get back into the game, and it just seemed like Herbert was always making the play when he needed to. They all came on fourth downs. You gotta realize every pass he threw was a 10-yard pass. So essentially, he was completing about 25% of his passes. But the one that had the best results was the one he completed. So he was able to continue to go downfield. Yeah, it was incredible.
The thing that I get about him, I was watching that. He completed like 6 fourth downs. And at one point, Chris Collinsworth was like, nah, you need it to be fourth down. Then they'll get it then. And he was right. And they had to get a 2-point conversion. They came back. And I will say, though, a very, very interesting scenario. James, I'll get to you in a sec. With Pittsburgh just waiting, hoping this game would end. I was hoping they would set up the field goal, take a knee, both teams go to the playoffs. But as Herm Edwards once said, James, you play to win the game.
Yeah, of course. In contrary to what everybody else believes, was a bad timeout, or everybody looked at the timeout and there was a whole lot of controversy about it, whether they should have called it or not. I believe that the timeout was wise. It was a good decision. If you're trying to get the ball back, you're going to call timeout after the game whistle is blown. You don't want to run the game clock down. You want to call timeout right away, get have as much time on the clock in case they would have missed the field goal, and you would take it the other way. But they ran the clock all the way down, and they called timeout. Then they changed their personnel, and they came out with a package built to stop the run, even though they didn't stack 8 guys in the box and blitz and come in with a run blitz off the edge. They didn't do it. Maybe that was just a bad play call. But everybody says you don't call timeout there, that the Raiders were planning on taking a tie themselves. I think that's nonsense. The Raiders were in position to call a play, to run the football, to try to gain a couple more yards, to set up for a field goal. The only reason why San Diego, why can you say that? The Chargers, they actually wanted to go into overtime. They wanted the game to end in a tie. They want to run the clock out. They called timeout last second, with that in mind.
Well, I'll tell you though, right now, man, they were sweating in Pittsburgh right there. They will get in and they will be playing Kansas City. We'll get to that one though. But the Raiders though, what a season. The whole John Gruden thing, the whole thing with Ruggs killing someone in a drunk driving accident. This team got itself together and got themselves into the playoffs. I'm personally impressed.
Winners of 4 straight. The running game is looking better than it ever had all season. Offensive line is completely gelling. I mean, Tom Cable, they always talk about assistant coaches getting head coach jobs after the season's over. I don't understand how Tom Cable doesn't get a job somewhere. Although he has been a head coach before, he clearly excels in the offensive line. I mean, this unit was complied of second-string guys that have never even played on a starting offense. They let everybody go in the last offseason, and Hudson and Trent Brown and Gabe Jackson. I mean, these were all guys that were Pro Bowlers, and they had so much notoriety. And it's just the running game and just Derek Carr's consistency.
Yeah,
I mean, he gets so much criticism. Everybody always looks at the games that he plays really bad, but he's very clutch in these kind of games. And when he's dialed in, he's dialed in. He's one of the toughest quarterbacks to beat. There was a meme that somebody made a while ago about about the most dangerous quarterbacks in the NFL is Derek Carr 4 times a season.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he
like
goes
the
in
rest
there
of
and
the
he
time
does
it's
win
like
these games.
average.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're going to get to the that's definitely interesting. We'll get to the San Francisco Rams game in a sec, but I do want to bring up a fun fact here. The Raiders will be going into Cincinnati, and the last time they played a playoff game was the week after the Bengals last won a playoff game in 1991 in the divisional round as the Los Angeles Raiders defeated Cincinnati before falling to the Buffalo Bills as the Bills went to their first of 4 Super Bowls. Well, moving on, we are going now to the Los Angeles Rams. They will be playing the Arizona Cardinals. They have clinched the division due to an Arizona.
Uh-oh. I have to pause it.
Oh, right. And James, with that Raiders game, absolutely crazy, maybe game of the year. What do you think about that one? The Las Vegas Raiders are going to the playoffs.
Absolutely the game of the year. That was amazing. What a way to end the season, get everyone super hyped for the playoffs. The San Diego, the same thing.
Contagious.
The Los Angeles Chargers.
The Los Angeles Chargers coach, I don't know what he was thinking. The early, what was it? 4th and 4, was it? At their own 18-yard line, and they went for it. They got stuffed. I was scared for the Raiders, Pete, because they had a few really good opportunities for 7. They settled for 3, and I was like, oh, this could come back to bite them. At one point, like, I turned away from the game and they were winning big in the 4th. And then all of a sudden, Herbert with all these 4th down plays, bringing them all the way back. I was like, oh no, like this is crazy. I thought the Raiders thoroughly outplayed the Chargers, like from pillar to post. And Herbert on 4th down kept bailing his team out and giving them another shot. It was amazing. As far as the ending goes, the coach of the Raiders ended up saying that he was thinking about the tie before he got all those extra yards from Jacobs, who looks like Jacobs from the first year, making the Raiders a dangerous threat to anybody that can't stop the run in the playoffs. When Jacobs is moving forward and it just seems like he's hard to take down, like his first year, it's a different team.
Yeah.
The Raiders coach said that he was thinking more along the lines of just letting the clock run out before he got those extra yards that made it a better chance at the easy field goal and win. Oh, yeah. So, that timeout, did that timeout provide a good thing for the Chargers or a bad thing, letting, the offensive line get a blow and Jacobs to like kind of gear up for it? Or, was it the right move? It's hard to say, really,
All I know is one team's going to the playoffs and another one's not. So, I mean, the question here, and this is a future, we'll do this in the next show, but do they go into Cincinnati and win, or does Cincinnati finally get that elusive playoff win?
I'm looking forward to the rematch.
I know Pete has more to say about it than me, so I'll just be real quick about it. I think it bodes well for the Raiders because Cincinnati's a very similar team to the Chargers. So the Raiders have also, in this winning streak, played progressively better and have Darren Waller now. So I give the Raiders a real puncher's chance against Cincinnati.
Pete, give me a yes or no. We'll move on to the next game.
Same thing. Cincinnati is the San Diego. They are the Chargers. They're the same team in the sense that, same kind of style offense, high-powered, good quarterback, good connection with Chase. Their defense is not as good as the Chargers, and their offensive line is significantly worse than the Chargers. So if that defensive line that we saw last weekend can do the same thing this week, it'll be a closer game than everybody's anticipating.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of close games, the San Francisco 49ers, after a year absence, are back in the playoffs, defeating the Los Angeles Rams in that historic rivalry right there. And Rams will be going to the playoffs. They managed to win the division as well. But what do we think about that San Francisco game, that heart they showed coming back after being down? Looked like 17 points, I think.
Yeah, the first half was all the Los Angeles Rams. They look good. I mean, they just remind me of like a big puncher with a glass jaw of the Rams. Like they'll be able to knock anyone out, but they can also just be walloped themselves. Deebo Samuel is one of the most interesting players in the league, in my opinion. These guys like drafted as a wide receiver pretty late. A lot of people grab many before him, but he looks like a dynamic, interesting player. The 49ers showed big guts coming all the way back. I believe it was 14 points in the fourth quarter to send it to overtime after the Rams retied it after it seemed like the momentum was all on the 49ers side. It was a wonderful game and one of the best of the year until the Chargers and Raiders had a better version of that same awesome game right afterwards.
There you go. So there we go, Pete. What do you think about that one? San Francisco, they are – you want to comment on the game or you just want to talk about they're going into Dallas as the battle of the 90s heavyweights resumes?
Well, listen.
I like it.
This is the reason why Detroit has always lost big games. Every time we thought they were, this is their year. They're having a good season and somehow finishing 500 and missing the playoffs. It's all because of games like that they can't close out. Stafford will make a mistake. He'll throw a late game interception. And he's so good by the numbers.
Going out.
We've seen that time and time again.
Good. You're good.
So I just feel that this team
Philip
is on paper the best squad. We'll see. But in terms of the next matchup you were asking me against Dallas, oof. It's hard to predict it. The spread is low. It's only 3 points, so that's a very good spread. It's hard to predict what Dallas team we're going to see because this is the team that Dallas shine against because, Dak Prescott, when he has to play tough teams, it clearly affects him emotionally. He gets way too emotionally invested and just can't perform against the better teams in the league. And maybe he doesn't view San Francisco as one of those juggernaut teams. Maybe he'll come out and play. Maybe he'll play tough. But then you got San Francisco really rating football right now. Excellent on defense, running the ball, play selection's really good. And like James said, Deebo Samuel, he's all over. They line him up everywhere. Running back, he's in the slot. He's pass run blocking down the field, blocking two guys. He does it all. The guy, he's a full package wide receiver, and it's going to be an interesting game. I can't predict who's going to come out on top in that game. It's
Garoppolo versus Prescott, ain't exactly Aikman versus Young, but we'll see where we go. It's been good. I'm glad these teams are playing again. As people who grew up in our era, these were the heavyweights. You had excess, drugs, dancing girls, everything down in Big D with Regal San Francisco coming from up there. And now that rivalry has resumed 25 years later, and we're getting it in the playoffs. That should be fun. Well, there's going to be a couple of more games. We're going to get to that in the next part, so stick with us.